Hello, and welcome to the only podcast where we can assume Stacey Tin's cousins are probably Stacey Lead and Stacey Germanium. I'm Matt.
I'm Luke.
And I'm Max.
This is Force for Thought.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the periodic table because those are not common metals to just rip out. Is that the same group or something? How do we
It
land
is,
on
yeah.
Lead
those?
is good. Lead is normal. But what was the germanium? The one that threw me off.
Germanium. Yeah, it's group 14.
You madman. Good call. That's a good joke.
That's a random. That's something that I've been sitting on for a while. That's just been in my notes, and yeah, I looked at it last week and laughed to myself, and was like, okay, I got to use this one. That's easy 10. That's so funny.
Because I'm just like, why did I never think of that sooner?
And also, why would their cousins' last names be different? Well, I guess I don't know. They're not brothers. I didn't say brothers. Good thing I said cousins. Never mind. The logic tracks.
Yeah.
The logic tracks.
Official take. Good joke. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Force for Thought. Today we're talking about Season 1, Episode 6 of The Mandalorian, The Prisoner. I'll start off with my off-the-rip impressions because I really like this episode. I was partly coming off the, I believe to be season low of Episode 5, and so Episode 6, did I say season of Episode 5? So Episode 6 was a refreshing, cool drink of water for what is also, by all standards, another filler episode that does not really progress the plot. But that just goes to show, like, I still love The Mandalorian, and when it's a filler episode, but it's bitchin', I'm okay with it, and I like this episode. Max, what are your takes on this one off the top?
Yeah, I agree. This is a good one. I put it in the top 3 of the 6 that we've watched so far. I do put it at number 3. I think it's the best of the kind of filler episodes that we're talking about. I do have a couple smaller critiques, but by and large, very positive. I thought it was fun. The thing about this whole episode is it was such a specific vibe that it felt like it was one big spoof. And I feel like I know that it is. Like, I'm watching it and I'm like, oh, this is like kind of like a classic tropey like episode. But I also could never put my finger on what it was that they were spoofing, if that makes sense. Matt, I don't know if you could connect that dot for me.
Interesting. I was just gonna ask what you meant by spoofing, like a heist thing, like where they have like those check marks where you're like, oh, this is the brute. This is the one this is the tech guy. This is the thing.
Yeah,
like they each have a classification mixed within this where they're like, oh, and then they're clearly going to trade on this person. Like that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, they
Clearly.
betray him, and then he goes on this little revenge tour or whatever, and it's like, oh, the hunted becomes the hunter, you know, and he's like kind of like isolating them all one at a time. You're right. The first half, it's like that heist trope, right? Like, oh, this is your crew, this is the muscle, that's your pilot, and so forth. But I guess it's mostly like the latter half when it's like, I don't know, the imagery of like the lights blinking and the New Republic cruiser, like the red, and it's like Mandalorian.
It feels like
right
Alien.
there behind him. It's Alien. Is that what it is? Because I've never seen Alien, but like the entire time,
I know.
I'm
We
just
gotta
like,
watch.
I know that this is a thing, but I don't know it.
I don't know. It's like it's like Alien. It's so it is confusing because I was like, it gives me the vibe of Alien, but like not totally. We should watch as a more for thought Alien, the first 2.
Isn't it scary?
And then we can see where.
Papa don't fuck with scary.
Yeah, not
It's
really.
It's not like a horror movie though, but I mean, it is.
Yeah.
I scare easily.
From what I know,
Like if I saw
I've never seen it.
xenomorphs in like a haunted house or like a wax museum, I dislike, so that scares me. But the actual movie itself isn't like, you know, like horror. I mean, it is horror, I guess, but it's not like.
Are there
super,
jump
super
scares?
spooky.
Whether or not they're effective or
kind
whatever,
of.
do they try to
I mean,
include jump scares? That's usually my basis. Because then a lot of thrillers include jump scares, and people don't like to admit that thrillers are horror movies or whatever. And I'm like, all right, but that's fucking scary. Like, I was scared watching it, and I don't like that feeling.
I would say yes then ultimately. Oh yeah, because I think this is more scary than an action movie, but less. But anyway, yeah, I understand what you're saying, Max, as well. I have the similar thoughts as you guys as well. What you guys just said. This is my favorite of the filler episodes. This is my number 3 so far. Rewatching it, I like it. I like the biggest thing that stands out to me still, rewatching it years later, is the Meigs Mayfield costuming designing. I love his gun holsters. It's so cool. It's very effective. I like that he's not even trying to hide it, and it's actually convenient to use. I think that was brilliant.
You clearly don't like it as much as Simple Brown Robe on a Jawa, though, because this was not on your list of favorite costumes, yet the Jawa was.
Unless
The
it was
Jawa
overlooked.
is a classic.
If we revisited it, would
It
this
could
make
be.
your top list?
I don't know. Probably not. But because Jawas are such a classic thing, you know,
But
like that's
honorable mention. The
yeah, if I
Jawa's
saw-
pick is wild, but
it is not. We've discussed this, but the it is so glaringly obvious now. Like it was, you know, we always talk about this, but the Mandalorian does feel like there are 4 episodes of story to be told here, and then 4 filler, and in those filler episodes, there's one nugget you walk away with having a better understanding of the characters, and that's it, right? Like in The Child, you're like, oh, Grogu can use the Force, and that was the big takeaway, basically from the character perspective, right? In The Sanctuary, it was adding on Cara Dune and the fact that they're unsafe anywhere, so they have to stick together, right? And so I feel like in every episode of these filler, you get one nugget, and I feel like that is them justifying being able to be super filler.
I'm waiting for your
Which
nugget
again
on the gunslinger last week.
The guns.
Because I agree
mean,
with 3 of the 4 so far. And
Yeah.
I'm
mean,
not.
I guess I haven't thought about the gunslinger too intently, but I guess the nugget of character would be the fact that it's introducing potentially Boba Fett, right? I mean, it's introducing characters like
Oh,
Amy
that's
Sedaris as
nothing.
well. But then
That
also,
that's not
I
the
think
same.
should have been how the episode ended. That would have been a great nugget.
yes. But then I was gonna say, I guess nugget of them is being able to get money and understand that they are actually out in the wild needing money to survive, which is why he takes on other missions, kind of like the prisoner. And so I feel like, I mean, I guess that's maybe the nugget. I have to go back through. I know we just watched that episode last week, but it is just so glaringly obvious now. I'm like, oh yeah, can we get back to the story now? Like, it's wild to me to be like, you know, episodes 1 and 3, you know, and then it's like, okay, we're gonna wait, you know, for the middle half and then get to 7 and 8 to finish the story off. It's a wild thing, but this is by far the most fun in these, and I feel like I wish these would circle back to season 2 and 3. They don't, besides Meigs Mayfield, obviously in season 2 and 3, or season 2 rather. But anyway, I'm talking for too long. I like this episode.
I agree. I'm ready to go ahead and jump into the beginning of Mando arriving at this pirate headquarters or whatever, Rand's hideout, and he walks up, and they right away jump into what I think would be the biggest question introduced lore-wise. Like they briefly touch on Mando's history with Zan. I'm forgetting her name already. Quinn's sister, Xion. And that I like all that, but right away, Mando goes up and shakes Rand's hand, and Rand says, "Is that you under that bucket?" And it's like, oh, that's funny because he never takes off his helmet. But also, yeah, what if you get a new helmet one day? Like, all of a sudden, no one knows who you are. You already got a whole new neck-down armor. Like, that's got to be a problem. Your helmet is very, I mean, only famously for us, but it's not very distinctive. Like, it's just chrome that, yeah, who knows who the fuck this guy is?
It's kind of brilliant,
He doesn't
actually.
know his name. He only calls him Mando, so it's like, yeah, that is funny. I didn't even make that connection.
I was
I
worried
like
about...
the casting also of that for. Whoa, Max! Congratulations. I know you just said her name, but
Xion.
Tonks from Harry Potter. Yeah,
Who?
I mean, it's a great Tonks from Harry Potter. She marries Lupin. She also dies. Spoiler. But like the cast is great in this episode as well. I mean, Mark Boone Jr. is great.
Sorry, we got to
for-
circle back to Harry Potter because now I'm lost.
Yep.
Who's Lupin? Because I thought Lupin was the quirky blonde girl, but she can't get married and then have her spouse die.
No,
It's Luna.
that's Luna.
Okay.
Yeah, Luna
Who's
Lovegood.
Lupin?
Lupin is the werewolf.
Oh,
You don't even know.
I like him.
Yeah, it's in your top 100 movies apparently, Luke. You don't even know one of the main characters?
Oh, he's like, yeah, he is one of the main characters. There's a lot of characters in that.
Yes,
in
he
that movie.
absolutely is. He's one of my favorite characters in the entire book series. I think he's better in the books than the movies, though. Hot take. I know,
He's not
right?
that memorable in the movies, to be honest.
I know. It's my problem with it. Sirius Black gets all the hype. Anyway, real quick, the casting I thought was great. Just because Mark Boone Jr. is fantastic because he looks the same in every role and refuses to change his look. He's looked the same since Batman Begins. I don't know. And he's in Too Fast, Too Furious, I believe, as well, or one of the Fast.
That's
and
what I
Furious
recognized
movies.
him from. Yeah, I didn't even think
Yes, and he
Batman
looks exactly
Begins.
the same. Sons of Anarchy, like exactly the same thing. Bill Burr, Clancy Brown. I'm glad.
I've never
right?
seen Sons
He's
of
like
Anarchy, but I could tell you that guy is in Sons of Anarchy.
right? It's so funny. And Clancy Brown, I'm glad we actually get to see him in live action since he's like, Asajj Press and a couple other characters in the
Savage
animated
Opress,
show. So,
yes.
so what did I just say?
Asajj. It's so similar, but there is another character
Asajj
named
Ventress?
Asajj. Yeah.
Damn it! But yeah, the list goes on. I feel like Zero is great. We get a little Filoni action going on. Not to jump ahead, but I like the gang is really well put together. I think because of the acting as well. And I was like, oh, that's this person. This is this person, and it's fun.
We got a Matt Lanter cameo too. A lot of cameo service for the animators.
So we're not going to be able to not talk about each one of these characters / casting choices in depth. So I'm down to start with Berg, not Tom Clancy, but just like that, Clancy Brown's
Clancy Brown, yeah.
character. He has a fantastic voice. His voice is the exact same as Savage Opress's, and I know it's like the same voice actor, but like you're a voice actor, you can do a bit of a different voice, and so I found that a little distracting, but it's not a big deal. The thing that bothered me more is that Clancy Brown is an old man, and Berg is not.
Yes.
he should be a bit more pep in that step, and I thought in like every scene, unless he is just slowly panning across the camera, like. Come on, Clancy Brown. We can be a little younger, I think, and just have you voice this guy, But
yeah, Berg was
I
great.
agree.
The voice of Berg did not bother me at all because like that's just what he sounds like. Like you look at him and you don't hear him, and you're just you already know in your head that's what he's going to sound like. So the fact that that was also similar to Savage didn't bother me one bit. The thing it didn't really bother me. I just kind of like chuckled a little bit. Is like. When you have this heist trope of like, oh, this is your crew, this is your muscle, this is the driver, and they just did not have like a really good use for the muscle, so he just
What?
like,
He punched Mando into the cell.
He did do that, yeah, but before that, he just unnecessarily tackles one of the droids instead of them shooting it, and then
yes.
okay.
I agree. Yeah.
It felt like the way that scene was shot and everything, it felt way too similar to that scene of Groot doing that in the first Guardians of the Galaxy. You remember that scene where they open the door
Yes.
and there's all those guys and he like skewers a bunch of them and
them all, yeah.
yeah, and then he turns back and grins. Berg didn't turn back and grin, but that scene felt so similar and a lot worse in comparison.
I wonder if that's why it feels kind of like a parody, Max, is because these archetypes are there, but they don't fully flesh them out and do those archetypes. Like you, again, in theory, have the muscle, but the muscle doesn't really. Again, he only punches Mando into the cell. That's about it.
I'm gonna push back on this because he does more than enough because he punches Mando into the cell, which is something. But when he gets flamethrowered and tanks it, that's enough to justify his character's existence. That was so cool.
Because he's Deferonian, presumably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, not presumably. He's red and has horns. He's Deveronian.
No, not presumably that Hugh's Deveronian. Presumably that Deveronians are fireproof.
Yeah.
I mean, has
yeah.
that ever been established before, or do we just put together?
I would imagine that's a
Red.
Legends thing that was canonized in this episode, but I couldn't tell you. So Mando meets the crew. Bill Burr, Miggs Mayfeld. I am not a big stand-up comedy fan, and so like I knew who Bill Burr was in 2019 when this aired, but it was not distracting to me at all, and it was more distracting this time. Not that I still haven't watched any of Bill Burr's comedy, but just like knowing more, I guess, that he's Bill Burr from this, ironically, it felt more distracting, which isn't fair because it wasn't distracting the first time, and yes, he has a Boston accent, which is unique to Star Wars, and he's just human, and human accents are usually reserved for American and British in Star Wars, but or whatever, American Midwest, because Boston is American. But I like Migs Mayfeld. It's moderately distracting, the casting, but the extra guns just makes it so cool that it's worth it.
I don't. It's so funny because I also don't watch much stand up really, and I also feel like Bill Burgess in general,
That
and the
surprises
zeitgeist,
me.
knowing he's. I mean, I like comedians, but like I find stand up very specific of what I like. You know, it's such a niche thing, and I feel like most stand up does not hold up very well, and it's like I don't know, you're either in it or you're not. But I feel like Bill Burr is more or less in the zeitgeist and is like more of a personality himself now. I like Bill Burr, but I was like I completely for some reason am able to fully suspend my disbelief for him as Migs Mayfield. I like him in this role quite a bit.
Yeah, I kind of had the opposite reaction of Luke, where the first time this episode came out, it was very distracting. Because I like Bill Burr, and like I know Bill Burr pretty well. I do like stand-up comedy, and I like him. And for a little while, I just kind of couldn't get over that. But he is good in that role, and I think that's what kind of helps make it age, so that when I do go back and I rewatch it, and I've rewatched this episode a couple times because I do like this one, it kind of starts to just kind of settle in a little bit. It also probably helps a little bit that he also makes an appearance in season 2, and that he actually like kind of gets a pretty amazing story arc.
Yes.
So he feels like a more fleshed out character as opposed to just like a random Bill Burr cameo. But I do, I'm okay with it at this point in time.
We then meet Xi'an, the Twi'lek, who has a alleged romantic history with Mando, which was a fun inclusion, fun peek into Mando's past, and I like the character. I am left with the question because they have that moment where he asks if I think Migs Mayfeld asks if Xi'an's ever seen his face, and she says a lady never tells, and Mando has said continuously throughout the series that he has never removed his mask or let it be removed by someone else in front of anyone else. Yet when he removes it in front of people at the end of season 2, he does admit it. So we know if he did remove his mask, he would admit it. So I'm confident that she never has seen his face. I'm also confident that they've had sex, which is just a funny image that she's seen the man's penis but not his face. And the whole situation is comical to me.
It was a bondage situation though, so he had a mask on anyway. So it wasn't the helmet; it was just something different.
I like to think that her comment that a lady never tells is just like her way of getting under his skin, because I think you're right. He probably didn't lift his helmet, but now she's like making this implication that maybe she did, and that's kind of like a dig at his honor. And so it's like you like having to bite his tongue to be like, no, you didn't, but whatever.
We then get the nitty gritty of the plan. We meet Q0, who is a good looking droid. I like Q0. I don't have that many thoughts on him besides good droid design. But then, and this happens a lot in shows, especially in Star Wars, and I can't think of any other examples, but they start talking about the plan, and they didn't have a plan if Mando didn't show up. They're like, oh yeah, we need Mando. One, because he's the one that kills almost all the bad guys, and they make a big deal, like, whenever they get into trouble, like, oh, Mando, deal with it. That's why we brought you. Also, they need his ship, and they need his ship for a very specific reason, and they didn't have a plan without it. And it's like, you wanted to rescue Quinn before Mando wanted this job, and so that part, that bothered me. He didn't really, like, just fit into the system. He was the system all of a sudden, and
Yeah.
it's not that big of a deal because it's like it's one episode. I don't know, but I feel like I've been saying that a lot lately now.
That's a good point, though. Also, Richard Ayoade as Zero is perfect. He was built to be a droid, and I guess he wasn't built to be a droid. He was made to be a droid. But yeah, that's a great point, Lou. That it does seem to be the central plot, even though it is happenstance.
Richard Ayoade is another comedian. He does a lot of British comedy stuff.
Yes.
I think he was
IT
just the
crowd.
voice, though, and I wanted to call that out because I do like Richard Ayoade. However, I was not a big fan of the acting of the whatever body, because you can tell it's definitely a person in a suit. It's not like a puppet or anything like that. The droid design for Zero was amazing. I agree with Luke on that, but there was a lot of movement that was like a little too fluid and not as rigid. I don't know. I
When he holds up the
Too
blaster
many
towards
times.
Grogu at the end.
yeah, maybe that was one. I don't know. I mean, there was
That's-
a lot of times
for me, that
where
was
it was
it.
just the movement was a little too human-like, and it kind of makes it clear that there's someone in a
has-
suit as opposed.
He
to
has
being a robot.
fingers, whereas obviously we're all comparing this to C-3PO, and I don't know. We've never taken a firm stance as a group. I am anti C-3PO, broad strokes in terms of whatever. People praise Anthony Daniels, like in the episode 1 behind the scenes. They're like, "Oh, we're so glad we got to have Anthony Daniels actually puppeteer C-3PO so that C-3PO's authentic personality can come out." And it's like, hey, C-3PO, Anthony Daniels has to do so little to make this character work body-wise. Like, yes, his voice is good, and that's all. That's not what I'm talking about. Like, just the puppeteering or acting that Anthony Daniels does in the C-3PO suit, it's the difference between 4 and 5% of making a good character. Like, it's negligible. And so it makes me happy to see someone else be a droid not as well, because you guys, well, even I don't, but I didn't have that problem with Zero. It's nice to see that there is some sort of difference, that potentially a better droid actor could do it better and someone else could do it worse. I don't know if it's the acting or the droid design, though, because he does have fingers that all do something. Like the sequence I just pulled up, his fingers are moving like independently, because I'm picturing C-3PO holding that comm link in A New Hope, and it's always like he's got it in a bear claw, and it's like, yeah, that looks very droidy, but it doesn't look very like he can operate a comm link. So, there's pros and cons. But I didn't have that problem with Q0. I'm not glad to hear that you had that problem, but it lends more legitimacy to Anthony Daniels.
This is a weird sidetrack, but I always think about C-3PO in Luke's Landspeeder in A New Hope, because we don't see him get in or out, but I always wanted to because he is so robotic, and I'm like, I really want to see what that looks like.
There's
He
a
just
ton of
needs
examples
help.
of C-3PO in situations. That one time when they just blew him up and took his legs off so that he could move through the scenes faster on Chewbacca's back, like he's not that well-designed droid for moving a movie through and plot-wise.
That's a good point. I mean, literally, watch A New Hope and Return. Right? It's a lot of walking for the first half hour.
A lot of baby steps, yeah.
A lot of baby steps. A lot of wipes.
All right, so the crew hops on the Razor Crest, and I wasn't expecting, I guess I didn't really remember if it happens or not. It's surprising that Mando just offers captainship of the Razor Crest to Q0 so immediately. I know that that's like the plan, but that seemed odd to me. I guess just because I know like Han and Lando never would for the Millennium Falcon. They would make a big fuss about it, and Dash Rendar for the Outrider, because I just read Shadows of the Empire. But that part jumped out at me as odd, but Mando's never like a big stickler for this is the Razor Crest, this is my ship, I'm the best pilot or whatever. That's not his character. But it was just odd seeing someone not be that character for how much we've seen that from other characters.
Well, especially because he's so droid phobic.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, that's true. Wow, I didn't even think about that. But he was like, "There's a guy in that suit. Is anybody else catching this?" Like he's very. That's it's supposed to look like that. Like it's just a weirdo. That's like a Batman villain. He just dresses like a robot. Or a droid. Don't know why.
That said,
He's fucked in the head.
Q0 does make that sick maneuver onto whatever to board the New Republic transport ship, and that sequence was shot really well. Like, did anyone else think that little maneuver went harder than you thought it would when they do it? I was like, yeah, Mando couldn't do that. He's actually a shit pilot, I guess.
Yeah, this whole episode, honestly, even the base like is sweet to look at. Like I got the same sense of like when we saw inside Jabba's palace in Book of Boba Fett. I was like, oh, I want to see more of what this looks like. This is the whole. I feel like this episode does go pretty hard the entire time. Like Zero is a really good pilot, and like I don't know, they have like these plans, and I feel like we'll talk about it later, but I love the music at the end of this episode. Like it is spooky. It goes hard. I feel like there's gonna be like
no droning.
yeah, I'm waiting for like Childish Gambino or like Little Dicky or somebody to like start rapping over it. Like it's just like I don't know. I love how different that feels too. But anyway, sorry, go on, Luke. That get off topic, but this whole episode feels a little different. I think, which is fun.
The feel of the pirate base, or whatever you want to call it, Rand's hideout. It didn't bother me when I watched this or A New Hope or the other countless stories when we see a base just like this, but in Andor it was starting to bother me a little bit, and I never brought it up because there was so much better stuff to talk about in Andor, but there's not that much stuff to weld. Like, not everyone is welding all the time. I get, like, if you're making a Star Wars movie and you need to establish a setting, let's put some welders in there, but it's just, sometimes it's a bit much, you know?
You were the first person, I think, to ever point that out to me.
How much they all weld?
Yes.
Every time.
It's in every single base. There's no shortage of repairs that need to be made on these ships.
All right, so they board the New Republic prisoner shuttle, and this scene also jumped out at me, not as being hokey. I don't know why, because it was shot perfectly appropriately. It just felt more obvious to me that the inside the Razor Crest set is clearly different than the New Republic shuttle set, and there's that one shot of like each of them jumping in, and you can tell that each of them just jumped up and then down. Yeah, is it editing? Because stuff like that usually doesn't, it just flies under my radar. But that one, I was like, oh, Clancy Brown just jumped up and down for maybe the last time in his life.
He's not that old. How old is he?
This is 6 years ago.
67. Yeah. Oh, yeah. What do you think?
He is.
I assume we're all Googling it.
He was born in 59, so he was
66
when this came out.
Yeah. Hey,
that is not
Ohio.
that old. Urbana, Ohio. Yeah.
The hell's Urbana, Ohio? Where's that at?
It sounds familiar. I guess I don't know.
That's gotta be like Dayton or somewhere. Fucking no one wants to go to.
Dayton's okay.
Yeah, guess what? It's by Dayton.
the butthole of Ohio.
It is. That or Toledo. I can't tell which one, but either way, if it's not the 3 C's, you get no Matt Lewis.
But yes, the editing of that I also noticed. Because when you see them drop into the shuttle, you don't like start at their feet. Like it just jumps like straight from them jumping down to like they're already mostly in. Yeah, you're right. Like they all just stood there and was just told like, all right, jump up,
bend down.
and we'll just when we edit it, we'll just start with you at your peak. And all these people can only jump apparently 6 inches in the air.
That was like shot. I wonder who directed this episode. I guess too, because I feel like that was
Rick Famuyiwa.
a weird. I don't know who that is, but I feel like that is someone who has never.
He was the third X-wing pilot.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Jib Dodger, apparently his name. In universe,
this might have been the cheapest one to film too, because the entire time I'm also thinking like every single hallway is identical. So I'm like,
Yes.
You guys just turn the corner, and then they said, all right, cut. All right, run back to the front of the hall now. We're just going to change the angle a little bit, make it look like it's a different hallway. Like, it's all the same hallway.
their work got a lot.
In the ship. Like, isn't this like one long ship? Well, whatever.
After a while, the lights all
be-
turn red, so you can really reuse it all. Now it's a
Right.
completely different hallway again.
I was like, this whole episode was filmed on 2 sets.
That being said, the shot of Migs Mayfeld poking his head down and having the guns out on either side, sick shot. Incredible. Every now and again. Sorry.
I was just gonna say seeing the trailer and waiting for like that shot specifically, or maybe just when he has his guns out. But yeah, it's
every now and again
Kudos.
when you see the credits and there's the concept art, and because like I don't know how movies are made and how much they directly adapt the concept art into a scene, but that was also a concept painting of Migs Mayfeld, just his head from the top and the guns out to the other side, and I was like, yeah, that looks sick. And then it made me think like, how much should they just do more concept paintings, and like you could have a really cool shot in like every scene, because I feel like whenever I have the thought that that's a really cool shot, I then see that as concept art later, and I don't know. This episode also has a very gratuitous toy line. My my experience with Mandalorian is mostly toy based, as we've said. Oh, I'm starting to get back into the show now. Obviously, 6 episodes in. But once the New Republic droids came out, I was like, oh shit, there they are, and they were not nearly as cool as their toys would imply. They were appropriately threatening, but that's a really cool droid and a really cool toy, and I was excited to see them. I forgot that this is the episode that they show up in, and all the fight scenes of them and Mando were super cool.
To me, this is
yes.
sorry, Max. It feels like you're going to agree with Luke, so you continue on.
Just that the fight scenes were great. It was gratuitous, but one thing that I wish that they did more often with droids is show their hydraulic fluid spilling out when they get a limb cut off, because it just made it so much more gory for no reason. It's like, it's a droid, but like, yeah, I guess it would have hydraulic fluid in it and stuff. That makes sense, because when Mando's taking out that droid from inside the cell, that's like one of the coolest droid takedowns, I think, in all of Star Wars. He like rips off the arm, and then it's like gushing blood, basically, and then it's like looking at itself, and then he shoots it in the back of the head. I don't know. It's really cool. That was a great beat.
I agree.
The way you described it was so brutal. I guess I guess it is. I was gonna say I also it makes sense for this story, this episode, right? But I don't like what it sets. And we've talked about this where when Luke Skywalker comes in right at the end of season 2, and it's just all droids, and it's taking a bit away where like I like the stormtroopers, and it's a great opportunity to have, I think, different types of characters be within these settings, and just because they're droids, they're easy to kill, basically, and then they're just like nameless droids are here in this space, so none of it really matters. It's just how they're going to die and get slashed down, and you can kind of make it more brutal. I think it sets like a weird standard, and this episode does it, I think, right, and this episode makes the most sense. But I'm like, man, I was like, I really do wish like Moff Gideon's like troopers weren't just droids, I think, is my biggest problem. And I mean, everything kind of has that. I mean, the MCU is the biggest thing. We haven't mentioned the MCU in like 8 weeks. Who are we?
We're due.
But like, that's the biggest
I haven't seen the
one.
new
It's just like
Fantastic Four movie yet.
I haven't seen Superman, Fantastic Four. I've been so behind. But anyway,
I'm gonna push back on that because and we haven't watched season 2, so I guess we'll talk about it more in the next couple months. But the Dark Troopers Dark Troopers were so well established as being so strong. Like, yes, they get dog walked, but that's prime Luke Skywalker. Like, he'll slaughter anyone. But they did a very appropriate job, I thought, of establishing them as not being just nameless, faceless CGI monsters that anyone can destroy. Like, they steal Grogu, they kick the shit out of Mando on Tython. I haven't seen it in a while, so I won't be able to talk about it in that much detail. But they do it really well in season 2 with those droids in particular, setting up their intensity. I hope I'm not wrong. I hope I'm not just imagining that now. But no, they were, because that's part of what made Luke Skywalker so cool, was that he was kicking the shit out of these droids that were so powerful to Mando just last episode, and Luke Skywalker doesn't care at all because he's the GOAT.
But as established also, Din Djarin, not a good fighter.
True.
And a sus parent.
Very good fighter in this episode, though. He kicks ass.
Yes.
Where's
this guy all the time?
Doesn't lose a single fight.
Drug addict or an alcoholic. Like, you know, like people think Jimmy Fallon's an alcoholic because he's always like laughing and he's cutting himself on accident, and he has all these like, he's like insanely loud and wearing sunglasses on every Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. Do you think that's like Mando's the same thing? He's just boozing all the time. That's why he's a bad fighter in most scenarios. But when he's stone cold sober, he's good. That's my headcanon. I think that's true.
It seems like a kind of job where you would be tweaking on something most of the time. Like if you were a hardcore bounty hunter, like the kind that Grief Karga, you settle your score and then you immediately ask for all the rest of the scores now. And he seems like
that's why he doesn't remove his helmet. He's got a fucked up nose from doing all the cocaine. He looks like Artie Lang, which is a great reference. If that doesn't, look up Artie Lang nose and you'll understand what I mean. The cocaine will do it to you. Anyway,
we then get to the control room, and the what's it called, a Mexican standoff. I don't know. This whole scene is great. I love the switching loyalties. Like whenever a show or movie can genuinely have a reason for people to be in a standoff like this and pointing their guns from one person to another to two people and all that. Pirates of the Caribbean does it, I think, several times, and it just tickles my
Yep.
brain just the right way. I love that situation. Not to mention the payoff with the New Republic the whatever beacon that we see later, and Xi'an just throwing the knife at the guy, and that's such a cool weapon that we don't see that often, throwing knives or whatever the Star Wars equivalent is of it. She seems to be really good at it, although she can only hit Mando in the shoulder armor and chest plate later in their fight. But he's
No, I think she does land a hit at some point. It makes like a snicket sound at one point when it hits him. Did we talk about Matt Lanter yet? Did we point out that that's Matt Lanter's live action debut as well?
we
said it.
yeah.
Earlier, but not we have now we're arriving at the moment where he's actually here.
That's Matt Lanter,
Yeah,
animated Anakin Skywalker in the flesh. So I like that.
animated Anakin Skywalker in the flesh is a funny sentence.
I wonder if Dave Filoni and Matt Lanter are like watching when they made Ahsoka. They're like, damn, really kind of blew my cameo on something less cool than it could have been. Probably not Dave Filoni. He wouldn't want to do anything besides X-Wing pilot.
Still make another appearance in this.
Dave Filoni's like, I have a helmet from Black Series now. Nothing.
Clancy
Everyone's
Brown's
favorite.
Like, I still get to be in it. I don't care.
Yes, his name is Davin because most of the time they name characters in this show. I'm still salty about that.
Understandable. It is. I get it. When you have books and books on on everything, and this is the one character that's not named, it is annoying.
It just makes the client so much more interesting.
I'm not rehashing that conversation again. They rescue Quinn from prison and push Mando into the prison cell. I like that beat. Cutthroat crew's gonna cutthroat. Quinn's cool. He feels a bit overacted at times. And interestingly, so does Xi'an, but I'm okay with it on Xi'an. But Quinn felt a little bit extra overacted. Did you guys think that? It was definitely the direction, but like Twi'leks
The
aren't.
scary British accent freaks me out a bit too, and also I feel like there's some sort of incestuous thing going on between those siblings, right? Like I was like,
I
oh,
picked up on that.
he says sister, but then
not.
they get really close, really quick, and I was like, oh, this is clearly his wife or something. I was like, oh wait, no, he did say sister. And I feel like
They
they
don't
make a
get
point
that
to
close.
only call each other that there's
They
some
hug
weird
each other
sexual
pretty
tension there.
closely when those doors start shutting on them.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
All right. I disagree, but we can move on.
Something was unsettling, but that's okay though. That's
Yes.
what I was going to say about Xi'an. It was yes, I agree that she was a little overacted. She was a little over the top, but like being a little over the top just made it like a little bit off-putting. But also, she's kind of supposed to be an off-putting character, so it's like it kind of works for what they're going for, I suppose.
Mando then has a sick wrist cable on the New Republic security droid and snaps his arm off to use the scomp port. That's what it's called, right? To open his door.
I believe so.
Which kind of takes away a bit of the legitimacy on the value of like R2-D2 doing that all the time. I thought he's like actively hacking all this stuff, but Mando's not doing shit. He's just shoving this thing in there and it's opening like a key. So
It's true. It's essentially a screwdriver. Like you just walk around with one and just start plugging it in places.
But do you ever see that? Do you ever see someone use one? Like Echo, yeah, Echo uses one a ton, but he's part droid, and so he's controlling it. And I would think hacking or slicing, something that takes skill. He's not just shoving a key in a keyhole.
Well,
Like
maybe
this
it's
seems to be.
like a digital fingerprint. You know, like those, like the New Republic droids are already registered to these doors, so you can just plug in and they'll open up right away. The other ones you have to kind of hack into.
Oh, because it's a New Republic droid. Okay, so it is like a key, but he got the key from them. All right, that Thank you. That makes me feel better.
do
Then
what I do.
Mando goes on his revenge tour against the crew, turns all the lights red for the atmosphere, completely appropriate, has a showdown with each of the characters who inexplicably choose to split up immediately. He does separate them into groups of 2, but still, like, Quinn makes the comm from one side of the blast door to the other. Okay, Shion, split up with Berg and go find Mando. Like, for one, you don't even care what they're gonna do. You're trying to escape anyway. But also, like, in what world is that the move?
Yeah, it seems irresponsible. During the showdowns too, never mind. I'm guessing we're about to get there right now.
Yeah. The first is the Berg showdown, which good fight scene made great by the flamethrower that doesn't burn the Deveronian. That I love that scene. It almost had an extremely gratuitous end and we see Berg at the end, so we know he didn't actually get killed. But when the blast door shut on him, I was like, oh my god, he's decapitated. And then it panned down and he was holding it up, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then it shut from the other way because, as we recently discussed, Star Wars has several blast doors in the same position for no reason. And so the other blast door shut right on him, and I was like, oh my god, did that one slice him vertically from the side?
Half the long way.
Right.
His ass fell back and his
Right. But
front
no,
fell
he
forward.
does survive that simply. So I wonder if there's just the width of, or I guess the depth of Berg between those 2 blast doors, and he was just stuck in there.
depth. Yeah, I knew rewatching this, the end shot when you see them all in the jail cell. So it's like, okay, I know that he didn't die right there, but I was like, I really want to see what happened exactly, though. Like, what injury did he just sustain that he was out but not cut in half in any way, shape, or form?
I think it's got to be that there's a Berg depth gap in between those 2 blast doors, and he was just stuck in there.
No, it had to have. Whatever. Well, maybe. I don't know.
The showdown
see more.
with Mayfeld, also super cool. The way it's shot with the lights flickering and Mando in one shot and then not in the next as he appears. That is as close to horror as this show gets, and it was sick.
I agree.
Yeah, this episode's as close to horror as the show gets, right? Like that.
Yeah,
That's
so.
It's not quite a jump scare, but that was sick. That was just the right amount of scary for me to enjoy it. Really close to my line, but.
Well, it's scary for the good guy, though. It's the good guy who's being the scary one.
That's true. Yeah, maybe I could have tolerated it a little bit more. The fight with Shion is also very cool. Like I said, I like her weapon of choice. And then he agrees to take Quinn with him. Meanwhile, Q0 is having some drama with Grogu, which I remember I was very worried about the first time I saw it. This time I wasn't so much, and I was more just thinking, like, do we need this part of story in this episode?
They're like, we don't have anything for this person to do anymore. What should we? How do we?
We need a
solve
reason
this
for
now?
Mando to kill this droid on sight when he returns. And so
Yeah.
there is a very easy way to get to that point.
Yeah, what was Zero's plan?
He was like learning that Grogu was the asset from Grief Karga's message, and then he was going to steal him. Or no, he was going to shoot him because he pulled his gun on him, which wasn't cool.
And then just fly away and leave them all there? Or was he still waiting for someone to come back to the ship?
Oh, that'd be funny. Although he was probably waiting for them to come back because the plan was to leave Mando there, and so
Yeah.
he could have just kept Grogu and left after. But regardless,
I like that little beat, though. I like that little added tension and then the satisfaction of him getting shot at the last second. It's nice.
and the hysterical moment of Grogu then trying to use the Force on him, and then Mando shoots him in the back, and then Grogu looks at his hand, and he's like, "Oh my god, did I do that?" Love that beat.
Ability unlocked?
There's rarely an opportunity to express personality out of Grogu, and I love every chance we get to see it. So Mando then returns Quinn back to Ran. They have a nice beat where I forget what the exact dialogue exchange is, but he's like, "Where is everyone?" Mando's like, "Fuck you, it doesn't matter. Give me my money."
Basically.
Yeah. No questions.
No questions asked. That's the policy, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and then the callback to Davin's New Republic beacon, leaving that with Quinn, and then the X-Wings coming and blowing them up. Great ending to the episode.
It's brutal.
Yeah, no due process. Big fan.
As a
True.
lawyer.
Just shoot them on sight.
Judge, jury, and executioner.
I thought the cameo for the directors was appropriate. It's like I said last time we were talking about cameos. Like, these people have to be, like, you have to have someone in these X-Wings, and so why not make it yourselves, you know? Have some fun with it. Live a little.
Yeah. People are either going to really know who Dave Filoni is or have no fucking idea, right? Like,
Yes, and if
anybody
you're
that's like, right, like,
no one's a
yeah.
medium enough fan to be bothered that that's a cameo and not know that it's Dave
Yes.
Filoni.
exactly. Yeah, that is the perfect amount where it's like, oh, hey, he deserves it. Like, right? Like, it's that's good.
And then they go through.
I don't know if he
the effort of showing
deserves-
the other people too, who are obviously not nearly as big to the fandom as Dave Filoni, but
Yeah.
because it starts on Dave Filoni, once it cuts to the other two, you're kind of like, okay, I think I know what's going on here.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Exactly, yeah. Which is smart, though, that they do it that way, I think, too.
Mm-hmm. And then it ends with Mando giving Grogu the little ball dinger and saying, I told you that was a bad
Classic.
idea. Which begs the question, is Grogu talking to Mando behind the scenes? Kind of like a geode thing, High Republic thing. But we also see that
I think we all have kids. We know, we insinuate what they say to us, like, I'm like, Levi talks to me every day, but he doesn't say a word really, It's
right.
like,
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And then the Mando leaves the gang in the jail cell on the New Republic transport, which we do get a follow up, and Miggs Mayfeld's in a New Republic labor camp. I can't be remembering that right. He's in an Imperial labor camp in season 2, but he's in a New Republic thing here. So how does that? What happens? No, he was in a New Republic labor camp, and then they go to an Imperial labor camp. Never mind. Because Cara Dune springs him from the New Republic labor camp as a ranger of the New Republic. Were that to be a show.
yeah. If that were to be a show.
All right. So, episode 6. I really liked it. I'm hesitant to rank it because we're going to have an episode ranking all 8 of these at the end of the season. And it's right around the Sanctuary. I'm going to have a hard time placing one of those higher or lower than the other. I like this right around episode 4.
Interesting. It should be this.
You like this one better?
I feel comfortable saying
Significantly,
this,
yeah.
but I'll let them all, I'll digest it once I rewatch them all, because I also know it's kind of all uphill from here, because 7 and 8 I also recall are very good episodes, although I actually recall very little about episode 7 because I think they just kind of run together in my head, so I actually don't know what the difference is between them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited to see the next one.
Yeah, I guess no need to speculate too much. I remember 7 is a lot of getting the gang back together, because I was surprised to see that happen, but I was also mad at myself for not expecting that, because I was like, of course it's not just Adventure of the Week every week, and there is going to be a through line, and he's going to go get what's her name from the Sanctuary world, and then he didn't get her.
Yeah.
Or her or Pelimato. So those two did remain to be
Oh,
filler.
you're talking about the one woman of the village who was for inexplicably sharpshooter.
Yes.
Okay, I thought you were talking about Cara Dune for a second. I was like, I'm pretty sure she makes an appearance.
Oh yeah, he does.
She definitely does.
Yeah, that episode. Yeah. But no, I was talking about his squeeze from that episode that I would like to see more from, maybe in season 4 or the movie. But that wraps up our thoughts on episode 6 of season 1, The Prisoner. Does anyone have any force for thought to leave us with? I do. As promised last week,
I've been looking forward to this all week.
I pulled up my notes on Shadows of the Empire and why I don't like it, because of the sexual nature of Prince Shizor's relationship with Leia. So first off, I didn't love the book just for whatever reason. I mean, some books you don't love that much, but there are certain things that just piss me off, like Boba Fett being on the cover. Admittedly, this is the back of it, but he's not in the goddamn book. What What are we doing?
That is annoying.
It's a tie-in. He's in the rest of the bigger, broader story.
This is the bigger, broader story. All right, so page 110. Oh, I should have highlighted in it. He knew who she was, of course, though he had never bothered to scan her image closely before. He'd always assumed that she was some hardened battle axe of a woman, all for the cause, one of those androgynous and ugly zealots who couldn't be bothered with worrying about her appearance. A mistaken assumption that, behind him... I'm not finding the explicitly sexual content in that joke, actually. I'm sorry, cut that. Not a joke, this is actually the book. Page 143. The hollow proj of Leia shuddered and held, sharper as a single image than it was as a moving one. Perhaps he would have this particular frame installed as a permanent holographic duplicate on one of his private chamber walls. It would be better, perhaps, had she been nude, but it was fine just as it was. It seemed to catch the essence of the woman. He could get the nude one later.
That is wild. Can you imagine reading your kids this to like bedtime story? Like, what the fuck? That is wild.
And then he has her prisoner, but it's like she's a guest, but she's really a prisoner, and so she's in like a really nice, lavish hotel room, and he has spy cams all throughout it, including the bathroom, explicitly in the bathroom, and including the room in which Leia had been installed. He toyed with the thought of running the recording to see if she'd taken advantage of what the room had to offer, but no, he didn't want to spoil it. He would get a closer look at her later. Much closer. End chapter.
That one might be more wild to me, actually. To be like, I'm gonna like that is like,
and then they don't
breach
actually.
Of I don't know. That's
Leia
like
does
if you have a
not-
camera on Airbnb in the shower. It's
Yes,
weird.
it's exact. It is exactly like that, Matt. And then this is their sex scene, which does get interrupted by Chewbacca, thankfully for the reader for pornographic purposes. So they don't actually have sex, but and I was uncomfortable reading this to myself, and so but here I go reading it for the pod. Chapter 28. Shizor pressed his lips against Leia's bare shoulder and felt her shudder with pleasure. He had her now. She was his. If not in mind and spirit, then certainly her body belonged to him. He was a little disappointed in how easy it had been. Ah well. He reached for the closure of her dress. There came a pounding at the door. And then Chewbacca's there. Thank God Chewbacca's there. Because how fucking gross is this? This is Star Wars. Like, I'm not saying Star Wars has to be...
How easy it had been.
Yeah, that is weird. This feels like George R.R. Martin wrote it. Like Game of Thrones, like those are hard books for me to read because they are so overtly sexual that it's like gross to read during the day. Yeah. It's like hard to read. Yeah.
It's not that my problem is the sex. It's the rape. Rape is what makes me uncomfortable, and the lack of consent so obvious in this scene and most of Game of Thrones. Like, just why are we doing this? You know,
and in Star Wars
Who's the
specifically
author?
is
This
very
Steve
odd.
Perry.
This is Steve Perry. Yeah.
I am going to be looking up some of his unofficial fan fiction later.
And then the other thing that just pissed me off for no good reason is the cover has Luke with a yellow lightsaber, and he is green in the book. That's wrong. He doesn't use a yellow lightsaber in this book.
Wrong.
Because I was really looking forward to it, because I like yellow lightsabers, and it's in between Empire and Jedi, so he builds the new one, and they go into it like a surprising amount of detail about Legends, how you build a lightsaber, and it was actually pretty interesting. He had to get the lightsaber recipe from Obi-Wan's hut and put a lot of time and effort into creating his lightsaber. The kyber crystal was not organic. It was like something he created. And it was really cool, but it was green, so just pissing me off here, Shadows of the Empire. But
Yeah.
that's all I have for today. Thanks for listening. Let us know what you think. If you've read Shadows of the Empire, if you've played the game, if you think it's worth playing, beyond keeping in mind that I don't like games that are 12 years old, let alone 27 years old, so it's probably not for me. But if it's really good, I might give it a shot, because I do still have it on my N64. Let us know what you think of Mandalorian Season 1, Episode 6. Watch Episode 7 for next week, and we'll see you then.
Also, real quick, Steve Perry tweeted out that the stupid is strong with this one in reference to the Book of Boba Fett. So excited to rewatch that, because he seems like he knows what he's talking about, especially after those excerpts of that book.
That makes me feel so much better, because I never want to trash any of the Star Wars creators, because, like, what am I doing? I'm not creating any Star Wars, so, but fuck you, Steve Perry. I'm committed to this take now.
Yeah, I agree. See you, Sammy. We're ending on a high note.
Good night. I'm going to upload.